Hey, DirtFarmer Jay here from DirtFarmerJay.com. If you're at this episode, it's because you have one of these type of devices in your house, which we love having. But here's what happens over a period of time, season after season. The glass down in the front gets hazy and it diminishes the appearance of the fire through here and just doesn't make it as pristine as when you first got it. What can you do about it? We're going to take you step by step, how you determine what that haze is, and if you can get it off. Maybe so, maybe not. Stay tuned. DirtFarmer Jay here from DirtFarmerJay.com. Hey, thank you for joining us for this episode where our emphasis is just do it yourself. And that's the case here when you have one of these great devices. We actually have two of them in our home. One like this, which is a wood stove replica, another one that is a bigger model and different manufacturer. We're happening to be looking at a Dover brand, but all of these are similar in the way they operate and some of the features on them. And so what I have to say, no matter what you have, will be applicable for you. Now, let me just give a little bit of a caveat. If you are just stopping by and you just want a quick thing, just give me the technique. This is the wrong video. Here's why. We don't know what that haze is down there. It might be just a residue. It might be something that with a little bit of abrasive cleanser, we can get it off there, or a specialized product, or it may be this glass is damaged, and I'll go into that. We're going to learn with you, and if you'll stick with me, you're going to come out of this a lot smarter. You'll know how to take care of these long term, and you'll know your true options. So be patient, and let's go through this step at a time. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand on these types of devices is that the glass is actually inside a decorative shroud that is in the front. And you can hear it, that is actually just sitting there. This serves two purposes. One, to make the stove beautiful. And I love the styling of these type of stoves. They're very additive to the decor. But the other is thermal mass. So this heats up along with all the shell of everything else and radiates that glorious warmth in the winter months into your living space. So this is very important, but it's much more decorative than actually holding the glass in or sealing the firebox where the combustion takes place inside. So the first thing you're going to need to do to get to this glass, and you're actually going to end up removing it to find out what that haze is you've got to pull off the outer shell. And this is a little bit heavy. It's going to take some heft. So you're going to lift up on this, and when you do, the bottom's going to pop out, and there you go. That is heavy. Okay, so now we've got that out of the way. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove this shroud right here. All right, so let's take a close look at this. What you have is a retainer frame. I'm going to go ahead and use the lights on my flashlight. You can see this frame that's going around the firebox that's holding onto this. And if you look right up in there and in there, there's some clips that are being held with retainer spring clips. And then down here, there's actually some clips that are holding the bottom edge. And you don't have to undo all of these here. A lot of these have a quick release. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and illuminate this. You're going to see me reach in this handle, and I'm going to see. There we go. I was able to get it to release. And now I'm going to have to let go of the drill to take care of the other one. So I'm going to lift that up, and this should tilt out and lift out. Here we go. And there we go. Now we're in the open firebox, and you don't want to mess with any of this. But notice around this glass, you have this, what looks like cloth that's doing. This is actually asbestos, which is a mineral, very high temperature, but this is a ribbon that goes around as a gasket and seals us in. Now we have the glass here. Let's go ahead and take a close look at it and go ahead and take some next steps with it. All right, let's go ahead and get this glass out of the frame. We're going to go ahead and remove this. I just put my fingers under it, lift it up. And when you do so, that asbestos is going to come off. So I'm going to go ahead and set this over to the side. So what I've done right now is gotten a flashlight for a couple reasons. Number one, When I hold this up high like that, can you see the haze there? So look at that haze. And that haze, you think, okay, I might be able to get that off. Well, it doesn't rub off. If I wet my fingers, it looks like I'm getting it off of there. That's entirely temporary. Watch it come back as soon as the moisture flashes off. I also want you to notice something. If I put the light on the side and I shoot long way through the glass, look at that. Look at the yellow glow on that. So why is that happening? That is because this glass, this type of glass that is found in these stoves, is much more closely related to Pyrex, Corningware, those type of ceramic glasses. It's known as a borosilicate glass, and it is a specialized glass for high temperature settings. You will never use, and don't do it, you will be sorry if you do, I warned you. You never use standard window glass, tempered glass, any of that sort of thing in these applications. It cannot take the heat. This type of glass is specifically for these applications because the inside of the firebox is going to get around 200 degrees. So you think about it, on the back side of the glass, it's 200 degrees, right? You know, that far apart. On the other side of it is the room temperature of whatever the room is. That's a lot of temperature difference. And when the firebox heats up, standard window glass would expand a lot. That's called a thermal coefficient. My apologies. This has a low thermal coefficient, meaning it expands very little. Standard window glass would expand quickly and shatter, whereas this is very strong, very stable, expands very little. So don't get the two confused, but now you have a very tough particular piece of glass that is really more carefully described as transparent ceramic. All right, let's take a look and see what we can do to get that off. When it comes to cleaning products around our household, DirtFarmer Maggie is the expert. So what we're going to have her do is take us through a series of steps on what will cut this haze. So the first thing she does is turn over the glass, put the interior of the glass up where the haze is, and we're going to just try plain old Windex or ammonia-based window cleanser. So here you can see she's going in and scrubbing there, working through this, and at first shot it looks like, hey, where'd the haze go? It's pretty much kind of disappearing. Well, this, okay, we'll see if this is actually going to do the trick. Well, let's hold that up. Oh, nope. I'm going to go ahead and turn on a light as well. Look at that. And the stripes that you see through that, watch them disappear. That's simply the residual moisture. And as the moisture goes away, the haze comes back. So that isn't going to work. So now we're going to need to go to a secondary product. The next thing we're going to try is the Lime Away product. Now, DirtFarmer Maggie uses this around here for residue that's on the windows from the sprinkler system, calcium, and it has not sulfuric acid in it, diluted, but sulfumic acid, which is in the same class. We're going to see if this helps cut this a little bit. So what she's going to do is put it on there. She's going to use a cloth and rub it in. Now, notice in this case, they say that you should use rubber gloves and that sort of thing. She used a cloth between her and that just to see what we're going to get. So she's going to work on this and then dilute it down using water to cut it and see what we get. So now you can see it's there, but she has not rinsed off the product yet. So she'll need to do that using her clean cloth to rinse all that off and then to see if we now have a restored glass. Let's see what we get. Well, it looks great right now, but we'll dry it and then see if we get that haze. It didn't do it. There again, you see the moisture wicking off right there. So far, these two household products have not done the trick. All right, so far, both of those attempts have not worked. Now we're going to use a specialized product for this, Rutland's White Off, also their glass cleaning cream that contains pumice that we're going to see if indeed we can remove this haze. So let's go to it. And the directions on this say to put a liberal amount in a smaller area. Then to take paper towel and in a circular motion really scrub hard in an area with this. So she's going to stay in a smaller area, and we're going to go ahead and she's really bearing down on that to see whether or not we can get that to buff it out. Okay, here we go. We now, look at this. So we can see some of it. Again, that's moisture coming back. So folks, in our case, we have some bad news. And this is the diagnostic that we walked you through to determine the cause. All right. Thanks, Maggie, for doing all of that work. And let's go back and I'll walk you through the remaining solution that you have for this. Okay, so now what do we do here? Well, we've come to this case. It is clear that our glass is etched, or it's not very clear, as you can see. So we have two choices we can make here. One, live with it. And if it's not too bad or doesn't show up, then we can just go ahead and keep it, or it's time to replace the glass. Now, unfortunately, it did get etched. What gives? Why would this get etched? What is going on here? Etching is actually micro-pitting that is a result of a chemical reaction. And here's how it happens. When you first start up one of these fireplaces, the operating temperature in the firebox is way less than optimum for complete combustion of the fuel, whether it's propane or LPG, okay? So what happens is, not only is there water that's still in the gas or moisture, but that moisture contains sulfuric compounds, and those form over time and create sulfuric acid, which then starts to pit the glass and cloud it like this. So you got a little bit of chemistry going on in there, and the only way to solve that over a period of time is to take this out and clean it at the beginning of the season or at the end of the season, at least once a year, to extend the life of this glass. And you'll see when you first start up one of these fireplaces that usually, especially if it's very cold, it's the first time you're starting the season, you'll see a flush of moisture because the fire log in there and everything else has absorbed moisture that it needs to burn off initially. But unfortunately for us, we got etched glass. Now, we can live with it, or you can go ahead and purchase this. You can purchase it online with some different links that I've given you in the description below. You might be able to go to your local bricks and mortar fireplace supply house and get this glass done. Remember, because this is ceramic, you can't just buy a sheet of glass and cut it. It takes very specialized equipment to cut this, saw it, trim the edges nicely so they're not sharp, and to make this ready to go. Visit one of the links below, and perhaps you can get a piece of glass for your setting. You need to be very precise. But let's go ahead and put this back into operation. So what we're going to do, we're going to reverse the steps here. I am going to make sure that I have the glass in the right way. This is the inside of the retainer frame. So the next thing I need to do is put my asbestos back on. All right, so we've got it almost on there. As you can see, this is a little finicky, but it's important to get this approximately halfway in and out on both sides. You can see I overdid it a little bit right there. It's for two reasons. One is to insulate the glass correctly and cradle it so that there is no hard points against it. And the second is to somewhat seal this as a gasket, because there's a very specific air to fuel ratio that's in there. And if you mess that up by having air gaps around it, your flame won't burn correctly. You may get sooting and that sort of thing. All right, we're now at this place right here. Let's take it back over here and we're going to go ahead and get it installed back in. All right, this is a little dark over in here. It's after hours here, but what we're going to do is reverse the steps. I'm just going to put these tabs into these clips, tip it back up, and here we go. Now I need to grab those clips up here. There we go. They're spring loaded. That is now sealed in. It's ready to go. And we can go ahead and put this shroud on the front. There you can see right there, it's all in. Now this is ready to fuel up again, ignite, and get the fireplace going. And we'll probably just live with this. If we did have to purchase a piece of glass here, this particular glass is about $90 for that. So remember, it's not window glass. There's a lot of different costs that go into doing the right thing for this piece of equipment. If you found this video to be helpful, please like it. And better yet, won't you subscribe to our channel? And when you do, be sure to ring the bell so that you'll be notified approximately every Friday of another great episode about home living, where you just do it yourself in the kitchen, in the shop, out in the yard. Great product reviews are used around the home. Until the next time, this is DirtFarmer Jay from DirtFarmerJay.com.